Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine that true success isn't about, how many zeros are in your bank account.
Right.
But instead, it's about how often you genuinely focus during prayer, or how you choose to serve a neighbor who openly despises you.
That's precisely what we're tackling today. We have a powerful stack of sources, stories of great mystics, Sufi narratives, and these core Islamic ethical teachings.
And they all kind of redefine success, don't they?
They completely redefine it. The goal here is radical. The only measure of your spiritual achievement is your integrity, your loyalty, and your fundamental conduct. What's known in the tradition as adab.
Your etiquette and respect.
Exactly.
So our mission today is to really pull out the deepest lessons on this unwavering loyalty and ethical conduct, especially toward the weak. We're looking for the blueprints that demand, absolute personal sacrifice and integrity.
We really are. We'll cover everything from what happens when you fracture your spiritual focus to the surprisingly harsh standard for being complicit in injustice.
It sounds like these sources demand a singular focus.
100%. They show us that personal sacrifice often far outweighs comfort, and critically, they provide this powerful rebuttal to the idea that the rich are somehow, inherently superior to the poor.
Okay, let's jump right in then. There's a profound story that sets an almost impossibly high bar for devotion and loyalty.
The relationship between Baba Farid Ganshakar and his disciple, Hazrat Jamaluddin Hansfi.
And this isn't just a teacher-student thing. It's a relationship of deep, almost protective love.
It truly is. So Jamaluddin was in a dilemma. He wanted to be with his teacher in Pakistan, but he was rooted in his village, Hansa, looking after his elderly mother.
A classic conflict of duties.
Right. But instead of just sending letters or demanding his presence, the source recounts that Baba Farid, the great master, he leaves his center, travels to Hansa, and stays there.
He goes to the
student and stays for 3 years, entirely for the sake of his disciple.
Wow, that speaks volumes about the value placed on commitment and that personal connection.
It really does. And that level of sacrifice from a teacher for a student is phenomenal.
And this devotion, it gets tested almost immediately by another major spiritual figure, Khawaja Bahaduddin Zakaria Multan. He tried to, essentially acquire Jamaluddin.
That's right. Bahaduddin Zakaria Multani writes to Baba Farid with an offer. He says, "Take all my disciples and successors, but give me Jamaluddin."
That's a staggering proposition.
It is. It's a direct challenge to that deep connection between the master and disciple.
And Baba Farid's rejection of the offer is the line that just defines this whole section for me. He replied, who gives away their Jamal?
His beauty or his perfection.
Right. So he wasn't just refusing a trade. He was asserting that Jamaluddin represented the spiritual perfection of his own teaching.
And this is where the story pivots. Because despite this unwavering protection, Jamaluddin later expresses a desire to visit Bahaduddin Zakaria.
The commitment wavered. Just a little.
Just a little. Maybe out of curiosity or a lingering sense of ambition, who knows?
Yeah.
But Baba Farid's reaction was deep disappointment. He called this desire a god body.
A disruption. A betrayal of trust.
Yes.
I think some people listening might find that reaction a bit extreme.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're truly secure in your devotion, why is a simple visit to another teacher considered a betrayal?
Because the principle at stake is absolutely fundamental to this tradition. Mohabbat mein sharakadari nahi kubul hoti.
Partnership is not acceptable in love or devotion.
Exactly. If you choose a path, if you commit to a single door for guidance, you must remain firm, mokum fide. Any diversion, no matter how small, it compromises the purity and the singular focus you need for spiritual.
And the consequence was immediate and harsh.
Very. Jamaluddin lost his spiritual light, his nur. The source paints this powerful visual. He couldn't complete the journey to Multan, he couldn't return to his master, and he ends up weakened, sitting on a rubbish heap.
A Rudi Kadir.
Yes, symbolizing just utter spiritual destitution. It's a powerful metaphor for the cost of a divided.
So he needed someone to intercede for him.
He did. A merchant had to plead his case, and even when Baba Farid forgave him, he chastised himself, saying, "Fariduddin, what have you done to your beauty?" The purity of the connection was everything.
That focus on the sufficiency of one path, it brings us to another story in the material.
The one about Hazrat Umar.
Yeah, emphasizing the authority of the final divine revelation. This is the incident where he's reading the Torah.
And the prophet's reaction was one of profound anger, or jalal. He stated it very clearly. He said, "By the honor of Allah, if Moses were alive in physical form today, he would follow me and accept my word, yet you are reading his book."
The parallel is just crystal clear.
It is.
It's about recognizing the completeness of your guidance. If you've been given the final word, if everything good, all the care is available in your own house, why look anywhere else?
Both stories really underscore the same point, don't they? The necessity of absolute commitment to the path you've chosen.
Okay, so moving from the rigor of loyalty to the rigor of ethical conduct. The story of Sheikh Sharfuddin is fascinating.
It is.
Because it proves that fulfilling a covenant is sometimes a higher spiritual obligation than even securing your own freedom.
This is really the moment of truth for integrity, isn't it? The dilemma starts simply. A poor disciple needs 6,000 dinars to marry off his 6 daughters.
And the sheikh, a man of God, he prays for divine help.
And the help comes from the most unlikely and I'd say confrontational source.
The wealthy Christian neighbor who actively dislikes the sheikh and his spiritual center.
Right, and this neighbor taunts the disciple, saying your sheikh can't help you, he relies on charity.
And then he makes this cynical offer.
He does. He says, I will give you the 6,000 dinars immediately, but the sheikh must sign a contract of servitude, a kadi bandagi.
Agreeing to tend his animals and cut fodder for 6 years.
It was an intentional act of public humiliation, designed to break the sheikh's reputation.
But the sheikh accepted it instantly.
No.
He went to the city Qadi, the judge, to make the contract legally binding.
And his only condition was that he must be allowed to pray when the call to prayer, the adhan, sounded.
So he gets the money, gives it to his disciple, and then starts his 6-year duty of cutting fodder.
But the real lesson in integrity comes next, because word gets out, and a powerful king, a devotee of the sheikh, shows up with 12,000 dinars.
Double the amount, offering to buy the sheikh's freedom on the spot.
And the sheikh refused to break the contract.
Now, I imagine you listening might be wondering why. I mean, if the sheikh had 12,000 dinars, he could have paid back the original 6,000 and used the other 6,000 to help another poor family. It seems like a missed opportunity.
That's the critical point, though. The sheikh prioritized the covenant, the odd, over the immediate utility of the money.
He wouldn't break his word.
He refused, not even for his own freedom or the opportunity to do more good. He took the 12,000 dinars the king offered, used it to arrange marriages for other poor girls, and then, and this is astonishing, he returned to his duty of cutting fodder to fulfill his promise to the Christian.
The integrity was so absolute, it became the sermon.
Exactly. The Christian neighbor, the one who had set the trap, he witnessed this unflinching commitment to the promise. He saw that the sheikh's spiritual devotion was inseparable from his ethical integrity.
And the source says he wept.
He did. He accepted Islam and he said, I only heard about the character of Muslims, now I have seen it. The fulfillment of the promise was the most powerful form of preaching you.
That high standard of integrity, it immediately throws into sharp relief what the sources define as a successful believer.
It does.
But before we get to the successful, we have to look at the opposite, the oppressor. The material absolutely stresses the prohibition of injustice, of zulm.
The gravity is just immense. The Prophet warned Mu'adh ibn Jabal, beware of injustice. And the key reason is, well, it's about divine interference. When the oppressed, the Mazlum, raise their hands in prayer, Allah tells the angels to step aside.
Why?
Because there is nothing between the Mazlum and the Lord. That prayer is answered.
And the bar for who counts as a collaborator with injustice is set impossibly high. The famous anecdote about the tailor and Imam Malik illustrates this brilliantly.
It does. So a tailor asks if sewing clothes for a tyrannical ruler, a Zalim Badshah, makes him a helper of the oppressor.
And Imam Malik's response must have shocked everyone.
Oh, completely. He didn't just say, yes, your helper. He ruled that the tailor is himself a great oppressor.
A great oppressor. Why?
Because he completes the entire garment. He enables the tyrant to appear powerful. The helper, by this standard, would be merely the one supplying the needle and thread.
That raises an important question for you listening. Does this not make all of society guilty? Are there any mitigating circumstances for simply living under a regime?
Well, what's fascinating here is the structural critique. The source isn't focused on everyday compliance, paying your taxes. It's focused on those who actively contribute to the power, the appearance, and the functionality of tyranny.
So if you make the tyrant presentable, effective, or comfortable,
you own the entire crime. It's a demand for radical detachment from structures of oppression.
So given this rigorous standard, let's turn to the positive definition of success outlined in the source material. It's drawn from Surah Al-Mu'minun, Qad Aflaha Al-Mu'minun.
Indeed, the believers have succeeded. And the sources highlight 4 key areas that define a successful believer. They are incredibly relevant to our busy, distracted modern lives.
What was the first one?
First is humility in prayer, or kushu.
And this isn't just showing up for prayer, is it? It's about the quality of that devotion.
Exactly. It's about bringing focus, concentration, and ahamiyat, a sense of protocol or importance, to the divine presence. The advice given is so practical. You must understand the meaning and translation of what you are reciting.
Especially Surfatiya.
Especially that. If you don't know what you're saying, how can you possibly concentrate?
Okay, the second criterion is incredibly challenging in the age of constant connectivity, avoiding useless speech.
This means staying away from anything irrelevant to your purpose. The Prophet defined a beautiful Muslim as one who abandons irrelevant talk.
Think about that for our own time. Reading endless news feeds, scrolling through debates you won't impact, or engaging in gossip.
That's all law. If you have no intention of visiting a village, why are you asking for the road? It's a spiritual economy of attention.
The third is zakat and modesty. Giving charity is essential, but equally essential is guarding one's chastity. The source provides a stark warning here.
It does. It notes that while a sin doesn't remove you from belief, acts like theft, intoxication, or adultery, they temporarily remove belief while the act is being...
And this is illustrated by Hazrat Uthman Ghani, who was known for being exceptionally wealthy, but even more so for being exceptionally modest.
The connection is clear. Success means maintaining self-control, regardless of how much temporal power or wealth you possess.
And the fourth criterion brings us right back to Sheikh Sharfuddin.
Fulfilling trusts and covenants, amanat and ad. The entire story we just told was an active, real-world demonstration of this criterion. The successful believer is the one who keeps their word.
And this is where the source material just fundamentally challenges the conventional view of economic success.
Yes, the criteria for spiritual success completely overturns social hierarchy.
Let's discuss that astonishing hadith of Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. The Prophet stated, "You are given provision risk because of your weak and poor people."
It's a revolutionary concept. It tells the rich person, your wealth is not a mark of your inherent superiority or better skill.
It's a trust.
It's a trust. And your very existence and sustenance is contingent upon the existence of the poor and the weak. They are the conduits through which the wealthy receive their bounty.
It demands immediate humility.
It really does. And the sources immediately follow this reversal with practical ethical instructions, especially about subordinates. The instruction is to forgive a servant or subordinate 70 times a day.
Why 70 times?
It's meant to instill the realization that the master's power over the servant is finite and temporary, while the Lord has infinitely greater power over the master.
It's a mechanism to force humility.
And continuous forgiveness in those power dynamics.
The sources drive this point home by challenging social status directly. We have the hadith of Sahl bin Sa'd al-Ansari.
Right, where the Prophet observes two men passing by. One is rich and powerful, highly influential. The other is poor, and his opinions or recommendations instantly.
And the Prophet's verdict on the poor man, absolutely striking.
He declared that the poor man was better than the earth full of people, the former.
It's a spiritual judgment. It prioritizes the internal state integrity and faith over all external measures of influence, wealth, or status.
Completely.
The ultimate choice, then, is patience. And this is beautifully captured in the story of the poor companions complaining of their destitution to Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As.
He essentially gave them an option. He could help them immediately with their temporal needs, or they could choose saver.
And he quoted the Prophet.
He did. The poor will enter paradise 40 years before the rich.
And those companions chose patience.
They chose patience, understanding that the temporary discomfort of poverty was a kind of spiritual shortcut to an immense eternal reward.
So this means the sources are not just asking the rich to be humble, they are also asking the poor to recognize their spiritual dignity and reject what the material calls the sickness of low self-esteem that societal devaluation can inflict.
Your spiritual status is determined by your action, not your income.
Our deep dive today revealed that the pillars of success are, well, their loyalty, absolute integrity, and a profound realization that sustenance and spiritual standing are interwoven with the care of the vulnerable.
And success is achieved by focusing inward, that kushu, and eliminating distraction, the law.
So for you, the believer, striving to maintain that focus and integrity in a chaotic world, the sources offer practical tools. They're known as wazaif.
Yes, specific short recitations intended as spiritual anchors.
What's the first one?
The first anchor is about establishing that singular reliance we discussed earlier. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakilo, ni'mal mawla wa man ni'man nasir.
Which translates to,
Allah is sufficient for me, the best disposer of affairs, the best protector, and the best helper. It's an assertion of self-sufficiency through God.
And the second is a powerful antidote to the anxieties of modern life.
It is. The source states, this is a remedy for 99 diseases, and the smallest one cured is tension and...
It's an acknowledgement that real power and strength belong only to the divine.
Exactly. And finally, the constant anchoring practice of Durud Pak,
Recitations upon the Prophet,
which bring 10 blessings for everyone recited. These aren't just formulaic phrases. They are practical, accessible spiritual habits designed to maintain your focus and your nur.
We began by discussing the absolute promise of divine justice for the oppressed, the Mazlum. The promise that nothing stands between their prayer and the Lord, and rectification will happen sooner or later. If you reflect on everything we've discussed, the need for integrity, focus, and adherence to the covenant, what specific injustice in your life, large or small, would you feel confident in raising your hands to ask Allah to rectify right now, knowing that this promise is absolute? That is your starting point for achieving ethical success.